welcome back to Wartime Wisdom. I'd like to share with you two recipes today. I've never made either of them before, so we'll sort of be doing this together. But they are recipes from a cookbook from a new to me, as far as the videos are concerned, country that was an ally during World War II. For a long time, I've been trying to find more information and recipes and things about the home life of people in other allied countries. On my website, Wartime Wisdom, I have a lot from the US and the UK, but I don't have as much from some of the other allied countries. And I'd like to learn more because the war actually covered 6 of the 7 continents. So we had a lot of allies in different countries fighting and working and helping out on the war front, and civilians were around in all of those areas, I believe, and I'd like to learn more about how they got through the war. So I was very happy to find this little gem online recently. It's called Aunt Daisy's Cookery #5. These are really neat books because they are sort of like a notebook that you can just flip to and find the recipe you want to use. And Aunt Daisy, her real name was Maud Basham, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She was born in the UK, but when she was a toddler, her father died, and her mother immigrated to New Zealand. So Maud, I believe, lived the whole of her life after that in New Zealand. And she became very famous. She was a well-known radio personality and just a goodwill ambassador for New Zealand to the rest of the world. She ended up doing a tour in 1944 here in the US, had tea with Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady, and did a lot to help promote good relations between the countries who were allies. And she, delivered messages and recorded on her radio broadcast what was happening with especially the women, but the people who were in New Zealand at that time from America. And she passed messages and did a lot for the war effort. She was perhaps New Zealand's first real foodie and food celebrity. So she has a lot of good recipes. This is only one of her cookbooks, and I am so delighted to be trying 2 of her recipes today. And what I've decided to do are 2 recipes that would make for what I hope is going to be an adorable luncheon. The first one is called Bunnies and Blankets, and the other one is called Sausage and Pineapple Butterflies. Let me show you the ingredients and what we have here to make these, and then we'll get started. Here's what we're using for the first recipe, Bunnies and Blankets. We're going to use these sliced apples. They are cored but not peeled, and I'm going to sprinkle them with a little bit of sugar and put a few dots of butter on, and then we're going to bake these for a little bit until they're soft. And then we are going to make some toast with these slices of bread that I've cut the crusts off of. And we're going to use a few slices of cheese. And we are also going to fry some tiny little sausages that are just about 1 inch long. And those are our bunnies. So the second recipe is sausage and pineapple butterflies. And for that, we are going to use bulk sausage that I rolled out into longer lengths. We're going to use some slices of pineapple. I'm using fresh. It would be just as good to use canned pineapple slices, I think, unless you live in Hawaii. And we're going to have some mashed potato, a little bit of parsley, and crispy fried onion. So that's all we're going to use. And let me get started and we'll show you how these go together. First, I have the middle portions sliced about 1/3 inch thick from 2 medium-sized apples. And since sugar and butter were both very much rationed during the war, we're going to be very sparing with what we add here. Just a tiny bit of sugar. probably about a teaspoon in total, and the same for the butter. I'll just see if we can't put a tiny little bit on each side. This might work out just as well if you melted the butter. It would probably be more evenly dispersed, but I'm following the directions. It actually says in the directions to sprinkle the butter. So maybe they do mean to melt it. I don't know. Okay, so we've put a little bit of butter and sugar on these, and I'm going to pop them in the oven, and I think I'm going to try about 20 minutes at first and see how soft they are. When we come back, I'll let you know if that's a good amount of time for these or not. So I'm doing these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 180 degrees Celsius. Be right back. The next step is to fry these tiny little 1-inch sausages, and the recipe said to take the bulk sausage meat and form it into these small links that are very short. And the other recipe, the sausage and pineapple butterflies, also calls for bulk sausage, but in like a normal length for a breakfast link patty or breakfast link sausage. And if you have ready-made sausage that you like that is in links, you could probably, for the bunnies and blankets, just cut those in half and have it ready-made. I'm following the recipe, and if you have an already seasoned bulk sausage that you like to buy, it's already done for you. I don't, so I make a beef sausage that I really like a lot, and I have described, I've actually shown how to make that in another one of my YouTube videos. So it's also on my website. The recipe is printed out on my website. So if you go to wartimewisdom.com and get the blog is called Celebrations in Wartime. You'll see the recipe for how to make beef sausage that way. And if you look on my YouTube channel here for another video called Mock Turkey Recipe for Thanksgiving from the 1940s, you'll see me making it in there. So what I use is a pound of ground beef with just some seasonings. It takes about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to make it. It's very easy, and then you can form it. Everything I'm using here for both of these recipes today should be enough for about 4 people for this luncheon, and it's only about a ½ pound of the beef, so a 1/4 kilo. Really doesn't take much. This spares, it's very low use of meat, but I'm hoping it's going to be hearty enough with everything put together that it'll be a great wartime option without using a lot of meat. So all I have to do now is fry up these little sausage links, and then we'll be able to put the first recipe together. Be right back. It's the moment of truth for bunnies and blankets. So what I did was give the apples about 22 minutes, and I think they're soft enough without being mushy, but that's completely personal taste. You could, if you really, really want them soft baked, you could do them up to an hour probably, but that would probably be a little too much for me. So what we have are, the recipe asks or calls for 2-inch squares of toast. So I cut the crusts off regular loaf white bread, and that's about what I came up with. And then I have this lovely tray of sliced hot apples. I have my little fried sausages, and then I have some cheese squares. We're gonna assemble this together, and then we put it back into the oven just enough to let the cheese melt, and then they're done. So let me show you that. First, I'm going to put 2 of the toast squares in here, and then I'll put 1 slice of apple on that, and then 2 of the little sausages. These little bunnies don't want to stay in place. Okay, and then we put a cheese square over them. That's it. Now I'm going to pop these back in the oven just long enough to melt the cheese a little bit, or at least soften it, and then they're done. Here are the bunnies in their blankets. Super cute. I like this recipe. It's very simple, very minimal ingredients, and a cute little luncheon dish, especially for children. The second recipe I'm making is the sausage and pineapple butterflies. So we first start off with frying the sausage links, which we already did. And now I'm going to fry pineapple slices. And it says to fry half slices. I'm just going to keep these whole until I get them finished, and then I'll cut them in half. Okay, so to put these together, it says place the sausage on a plate. With mashed potato on either side. And these are instant mashed potatoes, what I'm using. I injured my hand yesterday and can't peel the potatoes today. So if you find yourself in any kind of situation like that, or you're in a hurry, these are Idahoan potatoes, and we really like them. So now what we do is we take 2 of the fried pineapple slices and stand them up like wings. I hope you can see this. And I did fry these pineapple slices in about a ½ teaspoon of butter. I think that helps them brown pretty nicely. And then it says sprinkle the potato with parsley chopped and fried onion rings. So where I live, fried onion rings are as big as this whole thing, and they're not anything you really sprinkle. So I think what she means is probably crispy fried onion, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that over the potato. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think she really means fried onion rings? And then a little bit of parsley, and that's the second dish, sausage and potato butterflies. Cute.